What if I told you the biggest turning points in the NFL the last 5 years were not touchdowns? They were injuries that changed careers, seasons, and entire franchises. From 2020 to 2025, the NFL hit several of those moments. These weren't always the biggest stars or the most graphic injuries. These were the ones that forced reactions, league-wide reactions, franchise-altering reactions, and cultural reactions. And once you connect the dots, you realize something wild. A lot of today's NFL looks the way it does because of these moments. It starts with the hit that woke Cincinnati up. Joe Burrow, 2020. Joe Burrow's rookie season felt reckless in real time. He was throwing more than almost any quarterback in the league behind an offensive line that couldn't protect a folding chair. Cincinnati told itself the reps were good for development. Then, November 22nd happened. Burrow dropped back against Washington. Pressure collapsed instantly. He took a crushing hit. His left knee tore apart. ACL, MCL. Season over. The immediate fallout was brutal. After Burrow left that game, the Bengals' offense collapsed so badly it looked like a preseason unit. They went from moving the ball to barely crossing midfield. The message was clear. Without Burrow, there was nothing. What made this injury different wasn't the sympathy. It was the reaction. Cincinnati didn't talk about toughness or patience afterward. They changed behavior. Draft capital went into protection. Free agency money went into the line. Burrow stopped being asked to survive chaos. 2 years later, the Bengals were in the Super Bowl. That knee injury didn't change an NFL rule, but it permanently changed how one franchise treated its quarterback, and it became a quiet warning for the rest of the league. Tua Tagovailoa, 2022 to 2023. If Burrow's injury changed how teams build, Tua Tagovailoa's injuries changed how the league intervenes. In September 2022, Tua stumbled after a hit in the game versus the Buffalo Bills. 2 days later versus the Bengals, on national television, he took another hit and collapsed with his hands locked in fencing response. The broadcast froze. The stadium went silent. Social media exploded. The problem wasn't just the injury. It was that everyone had just watched him wobble days earlier and still be cleared. That was the moment the NFL lost the benefit of the doubt. Within days, the league eliminated the gross motor instability exception. No more loopholes. If a player shows visible loss of control, he's out. No debate, no override. When Tua suffered another concussion, the message was reinforced. The protocol wasn't just updated, it was hardened. Sideline authority increased. Doctors gained more power, and quarterbacks stopped returning from hits they used to play through. By late December 2022, the situation had reached a breaking point. The day after a Christmas matchup against the Green Bay Packers, he was diagnosed with his third concussion of the season, a development serious enough to shut him down for the remainder of the regular season and keep him out of the playoffs entirely. Nearly 2 years later, the issue resurfaced again. In Week 2 of the 2024 season, against the Buffalo Bills, he suffered another concussion, this time forcing him to miss the following 4 games as the team once again had to move forward without him. Tua didn't just suffer injuries. He forced the league to admit the old concussion system failed players in real time. Kyler Murray, 2022. Kyler Murray tore his ACL in December 22 on a non-contact play. That alone was devastating. What made it franchise-altering was the timing. Arizona had just committed to him financially. He was supposed to be the long-term answer, but that knee injury changed the tone of everything. Suddenly, timeline stretched. Confidence cracked, and the team didn't panic publicly, but behind the scenes, flexibility became a priority. It came from uncertainty created by one torn knee. Murray's injury reshaped how teams think about locking themselves into quarterbacks after a one-contract cycle. Damar Hamlin, 2023. January 2nd, 2023, Damar Hamlin collapsed after a routine tackle. No controversy, no replay debate. Just a human emergency in front of millions. The game was suspended and eventually canceled. The NFL had never done that, ever. What followed was unprecedented. Playoff contingency plans were rewritten. Neutral site championship options were approved. The league publicly admitted it didn't have answers ready. Hamlin's impact didn't stop there. His collapse sparked national conversations about CPR, AED access, and emergency response. He later advocated for federal legislation aimed at improving cardiac preparedness nationwide. This wasn't a football injury that changed a scheme or strategy. It changed emergency awareness far beyond the league. Brock Purdy and Josh Johnson, 2023. The NFC Championship game in January 2023 became a case study in roster failure. Brock Purdy's elbow gave out early. Josh Johnson entered. On the opening drive, he suffered a concussion. And suddenly, the 49ers had no quarterbacks. None. They ran plays where a running back had to throw. The game turned into a slow-motion embarrassment on the biggest stage. So that offseason, the NFL approved the emergency third quarterback rule, a direct response. If both active quarterbacks are injured, a third can enter without counting against the roster limit. That rule exists because of that game, because of Purdy's elbow and Johnson's concussion. One playoff disaster permanently changed roster management. Jimmy Garoppolo, 2022. Jimmy Garoppolo's broken foot in December 22 didn't dominate headlines, but it mattered. Garoppolo suffered a season-ending broken left foot, specifically multiple broken bones, including a potential Lisfranc fracture in a game against the Miami Dolphins. With Garoppolo and Trey Lance both injured, the 49ers quarterback depth evaporated. Purdy became the last option. His eventual injury exposed the depth issue on a national stage. Garoppolo's injury didn't create the rule. It made the situation possible. Tony Pollard, 2023. Tony Pollard's injury in the 2023 divisional round looked awkward. A defender jumped and landed on his lower leg. Fibula fractured, high ankle sprain, carted off. The replay looped everywhere. The league responded quickly. Hip drop tackles were banned. If a defender jumps and lands on a runner's lower body now, it's flagged. That rule came from one play, in one playoff game on national television. Daniel Jones, 2023. When Daniel Jones tore his ACL in November 2023, the Giants were already in trouble. The season had gone sideways. The offense was inconsistent, but that injury took the conversation somewhere darker. Jones had just signed a 4-year, $160 million extension. Guarantees were looming. The entire justification for that deal was tied to belief. Belief that he could be stable. Belief that he could elevate the offense. Belief that the team had found its guy. Once Jones went down, reality hit hard. Undrafted rookies and journeymen finished the season. The offense stalled, and suddenly, the Giants weren't evaluating wins and losses. They were evaluating financial consequences. One knee injury turned a franchise quarterback contract into a ticking clock. Every front office around the league took note. This wasn't about Daniel Jones specifically. It was about how thin the margin is when you guarantee money to a quarterback who hasn't fully proven he can elevate a roster. Dak Prescott, 2024. Dak Prescott choosing season-ending surgery in November 2024 wasn't dramatic, it was honest. Dallas was 3-6. The hamstring tear would take weeks to heal. Jerry Jones made the call, shut it down, and that decision symbolized something bigger. The Cowboys didn't fight reality, they accepted it. Backup quarterbacks took over. The season shifted into evaluation mode. Dak's injury became the moment Dallas stopped pretending. Sometimes the most impactful injuries aren't the ones that cause chaos. They're the ones that force acceptance. Aaron Rodgers, 2023. 4 snaps, that's all it took. Aaron Rodgers' Achilles tear in Week 1 of the 2023 sent shockwaves through the league. Not just because the Jets season collapsed instantly, but because it reopened a debate the NFL keeps trying to move past. Artificial turf, aging quarterbacks, lower body injuries. The conversation came roaring back. When a superstar goes down that fast, people start asking uncomfortable questions, and the league feels it, even if it doesn't act. Tyreek Hill, 2025. Everything changed in Week 4 of the 2025 season. On September 29th against the New York Jets, Tyreek Hill went down with a dislocated left knee and multiple torn ligaments, including his ACL, an injury that immediately ended his season. Miami was already struggling at 1-3, and losing the centerpiece of their offense felt like a final blow to both momentum and playoff hopes. What followed was just as telling. As the losses piled up, serious trade speculation began to surface across the league, fueled by Hill's age, his contract, and the uncertainty of his recovery. By mid-season and into the offseason, the noise only grew louder, especially after Hill added to the mystery himself with cryptic social media posts, including an Instagram bio that simply read, "unemployed," signaling that even the future of one of the league's most dangerous weapons was suddenly in question. Tyreek Hill's injury didn't just affect Miami's offense. It changed the conversation around what teams are willing to consider. Miami struggled with him, struggled without him, and suddenly, people were seriously discussing trading one of the league's most dangerous weapons mid-season. That didn't feel normal before, but now it does. Hill's injury helped normalize something the NFL had resisted for years: superstar movement at uncomfortable times. These injuries weren't just moments of bad luck. They were pressure points, the kind that forced the NFL to show how it really operates when things go wrong. Rules change, contracts shift, and priorities get exposed. And the next time a star goes down, the reaction won't just be about recovery timelines or next week's matchup. Somewhere in the front office, someone is already thinking about what has to change next. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button. Subscribe for more NFL stories that go deeper than the box score. And let us know in the comments which injury you think changed the league the most. We'll see you in the next one.